Are you ready for Christmas?
Yeah,
You got all your presents wrapped?
yeah,
Yeah, the tree decorated?
yeah.
Oh, you're all set then. Did you make Christmas cookies yet?
No.
Uh-oh, Mom.
Uh-oh.
Hi, Collie. Yes, we hear you.
Okay, thank you, because I thought maybe you could not hear me.
Yeah, I figured that was the case.
Uh,
I have a phone number 4102 something.
That's Collie's.
Callie?
Kali, yeah, Kali Malek. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, Callie.
Hi, Terry. Yeah, it is snowing hard.
It is.
Yeah.
Julie Gaynor, are you owner? Oh, she can't hear me.
Everybody is very quiet.
Where's the chat?
Okay, folks, thanks for joining. It's a little bit after 12:30. It's 12:34. So I'm going to suggest that we get started. We had indicated that maybe we would not meet in January because we had such an incredibly productive year so far. But I checked our handy dandy county code and they said, even though you did have a good year, you need to meet one more time. So here we are. Thanks to all of you for attending. This meeting could be a little bit on the brief side. I'm going to try and share an agenda.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah,
Yep.
I do.
Good.
Yes.
Good. Should we start?
Where's Terry?
I'm here. Can you see me?
No, can't see you. Turn your video on.
That's camera, right? Where is that? Up there it is. There it is. It's a go?
No.
No? Are we waiting for more people, Ben?
Started.
Yeah, I think we can start.
Come on.
Hi, Annie.
Hi.
Well, first of all, thank everybody for joining us. And if it was a meeting in Stembridge, we probably wouldn't be there because of the snow. So this is nice to get together for a short meeting.
Unmute your system volume.
Who said? Oh, can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, 2020 has been a challenging year, but when I look back on it, we did make some progress in changes for people with disabilities in Baltimore County. We stepped up changing our platform. Works sometimes doesn't. We'll see how this one goes today. We got through our strategic planning goals, and we're going to set them in effect possibly earlier in 2021. We had a very creative luncheon award ceremony. I was so proud of what Brian and everyone was able to do. So we needed to schedule today's meeting to satisfy our current bylaws, which means we have a certain number of meetings a year. So this will be an abbreviated one, but finish our responsibilities. Under the circumstances, I think that we can probably talk to Colleen Mahoney and Pete Gutwald about planning attendance, about attendance, because I think some people haven't been able to attend this year because they haven't had access. So that's something we can talk about. Thanks to everyone who does have this platform and they're being here today. Now, we do have some bits of business. I think everybody got the schedule. So I'm going to let Ben, do you want to take over, or Doug?
Yeah. As far as it's a rather simple agenda thus far. Just to catch up on a few things. Earlier in the month, I sent a new access board memo. Went to, I believe, Carla. Hopefully, Carla, you got it with regard to playgrounds and places of recreation.
Good. I hope everybody got that too.
Yeah, Carla, you still
Is Carla there?
was.
There she is. Oops. Nope, she left her seat.
Yeah, okay.
Alrighty.
And so we constantly get things, updates from the access board, and when I feel that they're noteworthy, try to send them out to the commission. But this one dealt with access on playgrounds, which I thought was something that would be beneficial to the Park and Recs if they hadn't already seen it. As far as our agenda, it's pretty limited.
Yep.
And so if Jay, you want to take on the first issue?
Unmute yourself, Jay.
Could everybody else consider muting themselves?
Yes.
And we'll go back and forth. I was sharing my screen and then I couldn't see the participants panel to do some of the muting. But anyway, about a month ago, I sent out a link to the draft transit development plan. Dan Dalton spoke to us, I believe, in July at one of our meetings, gave us a PowerPoint presentation. We shared the commission's point of view on transportation and survey responses that we had, and Dan Dalton had a meeting with myself and Doug Smith earlier in the year. So the draft plan is out. I do think that it reflects the spirit of many things that the commission has said about transportation in recent times. So right now I'm going to try and call it up. So this is a well-designed and thorough PDF document. Again, you should have a link. It's 149 pages. I'm jumping to this section, Chapter 5, Service and Organizational Alternatives, because this is where it starts to talk about new ideas and potential expansion of services. So let me just highlight a couple things. Improved accessibility and mobility for older adults and people with disabilities to the expansion of current county ride services. So that's a suggestion that the consultant's report is putting forward to Baltimore County. Expanded transportation options for Baltimore County residents through implementation of flexible micro-transit mobility on-demand services designed to fit specific community needs. Assessment of additional community circulator services, consideration of local bus services that would connect different communities in Baltimore County, evaluation of transit services that would provide greater regional connectivity. So this report in Chapter 5 is going to speak in further detail about those headline items. Advantages, disadvantages of expanding county ride. Implement microtransit mobility on-demand services. There's something I have in memory. Yeah. A major transit hub at the Owings Mills Metro Station. We know that is there. So there's a consideration of creating a circulator service in the Owings Mills area. So we have maps and graphics. I am not a super expert on transportation. There's something I have in my mind that I wanted to share with you on about, I think it might be in the next chapter. Let me see what happens. Yeah, this is it. So chapter 6 in the transit plan has a micro transit assessment. And I thought this would be of interest to members of the Commission on Disabilities because I've heard discussion of it in the past.
Yeah, Jay,
Yes.
I think that micro transit on demand was very interesting. And I think that it's something that could bring, better transportation to those that kind of wait for hours to get picked up and delivered. It seemed like this on demand would perhaps resolve some of those issues that individuals had.
Thank you, Ben.
I agree. I mean, what people with disabilities need to rely on through, I won't mention the name of the buses. I think Countywide does a pretty good job, but the other bus system is not reliable at all, it seems, from the people I've talked to, and sometimes not safe. So this is a good plan.
I'm trying to get to a point where they talk about where they want to do it in Baltimore County, because I think that's in here.
Who sent this out?
Dan Dalton, and he has a advisory committee of county personnel participating in the development of the transit development plan.
People from Baltimore County also?
Yes, so this is,
Dan Dalton was a part of the alliance of all the commissions also, so go ahead.
Yeah, this is actually it's the consultant's report that Baltimore County engaged to look at the overall transit program. And I believe then they had committees and individuals that they met with before they put all this together.
yeah, they did a survey. They did an extensive survey. I think they got in the neighborhood of 1,000 responses from existing users of County Ride. When Dan Dalton met with us in July, he talked a great deal about County Ride. I think that the report includes a recommendation to continue to consider expanding County Ride to later evening hours on weekdays, and also to consider some level of Saturday and Sunday service, and also consider an expansion of the locations that County Ride might go to outside of Baltimore County, potentially more city hospitals and things of that nature. So I'm going to assume that everybody has the access to this report that they need via the link that was sent out earlier, but also I sent out meeting links yesterday afternoon. So you should be able to download the transit development plan. And I'm presenting you with some highlights. You know, it's a full consultant's report that talks about the methodology of how they studied the topic, and, you know, lots of good preliminary information. I'm not going to weigh people down with all of that today. I would say generally, as we're working in the virtual environment and I'm managing sharing screens and looking at, you know, participation lists, my minutes are not so great. I am recording this meeting, which is good, okay? but, you know, I'm going to just suggest that, you know, the agenda said anybody who wants to comment on the plan, please do so. If anybody wants to forward a comment to Dan Dalton, I will move it to him. You know, the plan has been out for a while. I don't think we're going to structurally change this plan a great deal. So this is a time to comment, but it's also just an awareness and a disclosure that it's here. It will probably be adopted close to as is by Baltimore County. I think that something I would say to commission leadership is that potentially the commission could write a letter about this plan to the county executive, county council, a letter of support for some of the creative ideas. That's something that we could consider. Generally, I felt like important topics that the commission has mentioned were captured in this report, and I think that's a good thing. Just because the writing of the report is over doesn't mean that people can't comment about it. And, you know, so I think that the windows are always, in a sense, open to shape this plan moving forward. But this is a good draft, and so I wanted to share this with everybody.
Is there a certain part of it you would like to resend out for additional comment, or how long is the whole report?
Well, I think my response to that, Terry, would be I suggest that commission members, if they wish, look at Chapter 5 and Chapter 6.
Okay.
And that's where the new ideas come from, the potential to expand services. So that would be my suggestion.
What about funding? Is that discussed during that time period?
Pardon me, one second.
Okay. And Mary, question.
Go ahead, Terry.
What about funding? Is funding addressed in the report?
I believe it is.
Okay.
Yes.
Mary Scott, I think Mary Scott had a question. Can you put it up again, Mary? I missed what you said.
Just what happens next? How long is it out for comment, and when do you expect that it'll be accepted by county government?
I think it could be accepted by county government in, you know, a matter of days. So,
What is the process to be? Does it have to be just accepted by the county executive or accepted by the county council, or what's the process?
well, I think the advisory committee of county personnel is eager to submit this to the county executive and say, Mr. County Executive, we have undertaken a process and here's the product that resulted from that process. You know, it was shared with the commission prior to this meeting. And like I said, this is as much about, you know, sharing information as, you know, as allowing for comment. If somebody wants to comment, you know, I will process comments to Dan Dalton, you know, by the close of business tomorrow. You know, and maybe later, but, you know, just don't be shocked if this, you know, is accepted, you know, as you're seeing it today, you know, sooner rather than later.
So can the commission send a letter of support if we can vote on that now, or do you think we need to do that?
I don't think you need to do that today. Again, I think you can, you know, you and Ben can think about that and, you know, and we can process something. At the moment, you know, I'm going to really try and, you know, move the membership process and the appointment process forward and, you know, work on certain, you know, infrastructure issues, if you will, related to the commission membership, the reappointment process, you know, looking very carefully at attendance records and discussing, you know, if we have short attendance, is that, you know, why did that happen? You know, did the emails not go out properly? And so I think that, you know, if Terry, if you and Ben want to, consider this, again, as leadership and potentially, draft some talking points. I don't think we need to have a letter that goes to, the Transportation Advisory Board prior to this thing being, accepted, if you will, in the process that has been ongoing.
Okay.
But it could be, it could be done in January. It could be, we could have a letter to look at in the first meeting in January.
This is Mary Manzoni. I would just like to recommend that maybe you give the commissioners till the end of the calendar year to review this again, make any comments or feedback to send to Terry and Ben, because then if they're going to do some kind of letter, I just think we need to give commissioners a little bit more time
Yeah.
to
I
look
agree.
at chapters 5 and 6. So that would be my suggestion. If, I'm just saying the end of the calendar year, but you can pick whatever date and just say, if you have any feedback or comments, get it back to you guys. You brought something up, Jay, about, maybe the commission meetings not having a large attendance. It would be interesting to know if maybe some of the people who typically attended our meetings in the past, if they're not attending because of technology, either equipment or they don't have access to internet, because I know that the county is currently working on making sure that pockets have Wi-Fi. I mean, I'm working with Rob O'Connor on a grant to Comcast. So I don't know if if we've thought about that. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Well, I appreciate that point very much, Mary, and I agree wholeheartedly. And I think that we had, two very strong priorities, among others, as I inherited, my role to serve as administrator. So one of those was to do the strategic planning process.
Mhm.
And I think that process went well. I think we generally appreciate the document that we have. The attendance to do the strategic planning, I thought, was good. We had meetings in May, June, and July, and when we had specific strategic planning meetings, those were very well attended by that particular committee. So, and we I think did a reasonably good job with the award ceremony. But I'm at a point where, things have settled down a little bit. Those things aren't pressing. And I really am looking carefully at what you're talking about and at our membership list. I inherited it. We have the Granicus interface, which I've been getting more and more familiar with. But, we have to be careful, and as you're suggesting, we can't rush to judgment to say that just because somebody, didn't attend XYZ meetings that, that's their fault. It could be, a lack of interest. It could be a health concern. It could be any number of things. But I have a pretty, I have a significant number of individuals on the list, quote unquote, that have not been participating on a regular basis. We need to sort that out. We have a police representative who I have not seen in the year 2020 at all. His email is in the list. I think those emails go out, but I want to process that because I don't want clutter in the list. There's a certain amount of clutter that we have to deal with, but we have to deal with it the right way. And I think it's important, if we're going to execute our mission, we really need to know, who we have and who's, in the game, so to speak. And so we have reappointed, I believe, 7 members. Ben and Terry and myself, we sent a list of 6 individuals to the county executive 2 weeks ago, and they received their reappointment letters and they submitted new applications. And right now, I have another list of about, 6 people, to move forward. And we're getting into also the fine-grained analysis of how many representatives of private nonprofit entities that serve people with disabilities do we have? The county code says we should have 10. Right now, I think we have about 6 or 7. We're doing pretty well there. We have county government positions that we should have per the county code. we have some, we don't have all of those. So this is the process that we're going through. And, we'll continue that process. So you're correct, Mary. I appreciate that comment.
Hey,
And we-
Jay, can you stop sharing your screen so we can see everybody?
Yeah.
Thanks.
And I think that if Ben and even I'm going to suggest Doug and I can probably help with some follow-up phone calls to people you have emailed and not heard from. Maybe a personal phone call from one of us would help. There are some people that hardly ever check their email. I'm speaking for Ben and Doug and I, but I'd be happy to follow up because there was one person that did pass away that you weren't aware of.
Right.
And we can help with that. But I agree with Mary. Let's give the, on the other hand, with the report, maybe you said it was chapters 5 and 6 that were most relevant to people with disabilities. Can you send them out again? And maybe
Yes.
we want to get comments by a certain date. I mean, Mary, do you have a date in mind? Is there a reasonable date?
Well, Mary said the calendar year.
Yeah.
I want to be clear about this. We can write a letter and provide commentary on this plan. That's fine. But Dan Dalton met with us in July to get feedback. We gave him feedback. So, this could be after the fact. I hope that's okay with everybody. That's what it is.
Okay, then how about just sending it out one more time and saying, thank you for this, for giving the feedback. It's open for 2 more weeks and we'll pass it on then. Is that
Been in there working on it.
okay? Good. Thank you.
The other thing that I think may impact attendance some too is our times have been bouncing around some, and I think that makes it a little more challenging for people as far as, so we may want to look at trying moving ahead to keep things on the same time frame. Whether it's a 12 o'clock start or a 12:30 start or whatever. And then I know Mike mentioned the last time about the accessibility, that this platform is not user-friendly for accessibility issues, so that may be impacting some participation as well.
Mhm. I think that if we send out the next 3 dates, I know January the 20th would be the next one, first of all. And so, Julie, are you saying go back to noon possibly?
It doesn't matter to me, but when we have it at 12:30 one month and 11 o'clock another month, I think that gets more of a challenge for people to keep straight on their calendar. So if we can just pick a time, whatever that may be, and try to hold that consistently, I think that may help a few people. If I hadn't set my alarm for having a meeting today, I would have totally forgotten about it also, because it wasn't, exactly on my radar when I was out and about doing, some other things or got involved with something. So, I think if we have a set time, it would be easier all around to know that that's when it was going to be.
Good idea. Let's talk about that, Ben and Jane. And maybe we'll send out the dates and times the next 3 months and just sending reminders. That would be great.
That would be helpful.
Mm-hmm. And the people that aren't on, I could even make phone calls, so Jay, you and I can talk about that afterwards.
Yeah, I would say, Terry, if you and Ben want to stay this out, right at this meeting, at the conclusion, we can talk. So
and Mary Scott had a question. She has her hand raised.
So I'm confused about the process. So we're calling people who are currently considered commissioners to find out why they're not coming.
If they want to continue, and if so, and they haven't come, why? Is there a reason?
And then we're still involved in the nomination process of current people and I guess new people eventually. And that I don't even know if I'm legal. My term expires in this summer, but I haven't. It's been over a year since, we've been involved in this nomination process. And I haven't been reappointed. So I guess the question we should be asking people is what you said, Terry. Are they interested in being renominated,
Right.
right?
Yes, and I think
Am I missing something?
yes, no, that's good. And I think the biggest area we need to satisfy, besides some of the agencies, is appointments by county council, because we have lost those people. We only have 2 of the 7. You know, Jay Shine passed away, Dave Ward passed away. I could be the focus of that because I have all the zip codes of all the county council persons. So that's where I would like to begin. How about you, Ben?
I think everybody's comments are good. We need to really follow up on the appointments. Number one, we need to follow up why individuals haven't been able or haven't been present at these Zoom meetings, and find out if they still have an interest in continuing to serve. I know myself, I've made some contacts with trying to get some Councilmatic representatives from at least two of them. I've sent Jay one resume of somebody from Wade Koch's district, and working on Councilman Patoka's office. So we're trying to, put ourselves back into order. A lot of it has to do that we just haven't been able to meet in person. It's all been done virtually. So between Terry, Jay, and myself, we will try to reach out to everybody on the commission, and follow up with all these reappointments that need to be done.
Sounds good to me. I mean, I think that's what we can do because Jay has enough responsibilities as it is at the moment.
As far as the discussion on the grant availabilities, Jay, you want to tell us where we stand on that for the coming year?
Yes, I would like to share my screen on that for a moment. Bear with me for a second.
And I hope everyone's well and safe and going to be staying in and doing what I'm doing, cooking some soup and checking in on loved ones over the next 24 hours until we get there to our new screen.
Okay, so hopefully you're seeing a Baltimore County webpage, Department of Planning. This is specifically the grant application page. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to the county website and you type in planning, and you go to the main webpage for the Department of Planning, you'll see an announcement, public hearing for coronavirus relief funds and needs for fiscal year 22 grant award cycle. There's a learn more link that takes you to the grants main page. So I am here to tell you there's a public hearing tomorrow. It's a WebEx public meeting. This has been announced in the newspaper via this website, and an email went out from my department to all of our grant participants. So that was the primary circulation of awareness for this public meeting that starts at 9:30 tomorrow. Candidly, I was focusing more on the pre-bid meeting for county grant applications. And that's why I started at the grant application page. So the grant applications are now live. These are the grant applications that organizations that serve individuals with disabilities will use to apply for funds for county fiscal year 2022. And so this is the capital projects that we talk about from time to time. And these are the links to the capital project applications. So these were posted about, I don't know, 5 days ago. They became live on the website. I think Russ Weber is with us, Kathleen Durkin, David Greenberg, and Mr. Miller. So I think we have 4 people in this meeting who have participated in this grant program. So, holy cow, it's a new grant year. And, again, holy cow, I'm just going to get a grant agreement from Greg Miller for FY21. What's going on? Well, we're a little behind. So the capital projects, my moving of grant agreements and so forth was delayed by some other duties related to the COVID-19 pandemic. We had a big year, FY 2021. I shared with you guys the projects we have. We have now
join the meeting.
We have more than we have more than $600,000 in CDBG funds to process in FY21, and we're launching new grants for FY22. So that's my bit. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Jay, what is do you have a capital project dollar figure that organizations can vie for?
Hold on a second. I'm trying to get rid of this thing.
Ben, are you asking, is there a limit to the?
Well, what is
request?
here? What is the figure that we're going to be able to give out for this FY 22 year? I know David might want a couple million.
Yeah, David's been
I'll get
buying
in on that.
property. He's been buying property. He's going to do a parking lot. Maybe he's going to buy some more property and do something else. I don't know. So here's how I answer the question. We don't carve it in stone. A minimum is plus or minus 20,000. The maximum, okay. I mean, we do have funds to spend. So when I shared with you, I would say that we did a project more than $200,000 in FY20. And
yeah, what I'm looking for is what is the pot of money that we'll have for 22?
Well, traditionally it's been 285,000, but we spent more than that in FY21. I just mentioned we're spending more than 600,000 in FY21. So we're doing okay. I think we can do more than 285,000 this year. They haven't told me that we're under restrictions. Sometimes we have what we call old money, which is there's a thing called program income, and there's just to be short and sweet. Sometimes we don't spend all the CDBG money we have that HUD gives us. They give us plus or minus 4 million every year in CDBG. Plus we got I don't know, 8 million in new money because of the COVID-19 process. So for capital dollars, I think we can do, probably a minimum of 300,000. And if the applications are strong and they come in the door, we can potentially go over 300.
Okay.
Jay, can you hear me?
Yes.
I have 2 questions about the grants, and I think one of them may have just got answered, but I want to be explicit. Does the county, the more applicants the county gets, the higher availability of grant money that can be spent? And when that money is spent, does the county benefit from any kind of federal matching?
CDBG funds do not require matching, from the county side. I guess what I would say is HUD doesn't reward us for spending our money, but HUD penalizes us if we don't.
Correct.
I think
Every once in a while, HUD says, yo, tell me what you have drawn down from your CDBG pot, and we have to report that annually.
Use it or lose it.
what Greg
Yeah.
asked, is there matching funds that the government puts in to these community block grant monies? So community block grant monies are federal funds.
Right.
When we look at a proposal from a organization, there is in the package, do you have matching funds that you've raised on your own? I think that's the matching funds that are looked at with respect to evaluating the packages. So several of us on the commission will look at these packages that are submitted for grants, and if we have only a pot of money of 300,000 and we get grant proposals in there of 500,000, we perhaps will say we'll partially fund a particular project, and that agency will have to raise the funds, the balance of the funds. So the funding is from the CGB money and the individual organizations that have to do their own fundraising. And it's not essential on the approval of these grants that the commission reviews. It's not essential that you have raised monies, matching funds, to be able to get a grant. Some groups haven't raised them, some have raised. So we don't look at it as an absolute that you on your own have to raise your own monies for a project that you have requested to be done.
Mhm. But it doesn't hurt if the company does have matching funds.
Harry?
Yeah, Ben is correct. It's not required that the organization applying for grant funds put some of its own resources, cash resources into it. It is a competitive process. So if there is a competition, that could be a factor in, giving a stronger score to one applicant over another, is that, we use the term leverage. So, are the CDBG funds being leveraged and attracting other funds? I'll say this, if you're doing a medium to small size project, as a person that's been in the grant world, sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, I have 4 sources of funds. I'm doing sophisticated work. Isn't that great? Sometimes CDBG funds, sometimes it's simpler to just do the CDBG and don't do anything else, because it's federal money and it has Davis-Bacon requirements. And when you bring other pots of money in, those other pots of money are going to have to play along with Davis-Bacon and federal requirements. And the guy who's administering that other pot of money, he's be like, what? Hello, this is state money. I don't want these federal regs on me. But, when CDBG comes in the door, you got to play ball with the federal rules. So,
Complicated.
yeah, but we're here to make it work.
Right.
We're here to make it work.
Right.
Mary, you had a question?
I did. Back in the day, it may have been many days ago, there used to be a set aside of CDBG money, a certain percentage of CDBG money that was set aside for projects related to people with disabilities. And I'm wondering if we still have that. I don't know if my math is correct, but I think 600,000 of 4 million is 15%. So 15%, we wouldn't want to have much less than 15%, I don't think. So I'm just wondering if that's still in the conversation when money is being dispersed.
Yeah, I think historically, we have had a pretty good pot of money. Maybe one year it might have been down to 200,000, but it's been, upwards of over that at times. the position that we have taken at the commission is that we're looking for capital projects, not program projects. So it has to be capital projects that really improve the accessibility of individuals with disabilities to the particular agency's programs. And at times we've done things for the ARC, the Chimes. We've worked improving accessibility into their homes that they maintain, redoing the bathrooms to make them more accessible. At the league, we did some work with respect to the accessibility of the swimming pool. I think the roof at one time was done. So we've done a variety of things. We've helped with some construction of a facility in Pikesville that deals with individuals with disabilities. So we've really looked at using the funds to make things more accessible. We some small projects that we've looked at. So it's more of a bricks and mortar that we've contributed to in the organization's life, and not paying programmatic salaries and the like to organizations to sustain their mission.
Correct.
And I think that the set aside, I don't know if that went back to Dutch set up a good set aside in the community block grant funds when we started to be able to have access to these funds for organizations.
Thanks to Dave Ward and Dave Thompson. You're correct. Mhm.
Okay, so is the answer to my question, there is no set aside?
Jay, do you know? I was not on the committee that appropriated the money
Either.
for the past 2 or 3 years.
Mary, I don't believe there's a written set aside
Mhm.
in county law.
Correct.
It's not in CDBG law. Baltimore County designates, for better or worse, the County Department of Planning to administer the allocation of CDBG funds. The $4 million includes a wide variety of things. That includes, I don't know, let's just say $1.5 million that is allocated to housing. And that could be bricks and mortar housing for people with disabilities. Some of it I know it is today. And that's separate and aside from the funds that I administer. I've always heard in recent years, the past 5 years, that, the department set aside through the department's policy decision, $285,000 annually. That's been the ballpark number. I don't think that relates to a percentage of the total CDBG allocation. That I have not heard. It could have been discussed, back in earlier times, but truthfully, FY21 with more than 600,000, that exceeds the 285 by double, and I view that as a good thing.
I think as an executive committee, we can talk about that too, because we did always do a set aside before, but I haven't the last.
Carly, this is Carly.
Go ahead, Carly.
Yeah, I think that when Don Hutchinson was the county executive, that time he decided to give 60% of CDBG money for the people, for the program for people with disabilities, primarily construction, renovation, like that kind of thing. Then Don Hutchinson, after that, Dennis Rasmussen followed the same path, 60%. So there is no written, but they thought that 60% would be given a CDBG fund for people with disabilities related programs.
You are correct, Callie.
Yeah.
Well, I would say we have public service programs that serve homeless individuals. Many of the homeless individuals are individuals with disabilities. You've heard me mention permanent supportive housing. Permanent supportive housing is a government-assisted housing program that part of the criteria to receive permanent supportive housing is that the individual must present with a disability, be it physical or mental or intellectual. So I'm going to share the information I have with you, and I will listen as the commission speaks back to me.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay, and Elizabeth's on the line. Elizabeth, you want to let us know what the health department is looking for representation from the commission?
Hi, I'm sorry, I had to mute. Yes, Laura Culbertson was asking for members if they were interested in putting some input into the community health needs assessment. And I can send you that email of where she was looking for individuals to help with that. I'm sorry, I'm not part of the group, so I'm not sure what the commitment would be, but I can send that out to see if anyone would be interested in joining.
If you could resend that to me, I can send it out. Everyone on the commission is responsible to be on a subcommittee also. And I believe that she had said that meeting was only 4 times a year. So that's something we need to be a little more active about, is making sure that everybody on the commission is involved in a subcommittee. So if you could send that back to Jay and I, that'd be great, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Sure, will do.
Memberships rolling along. Thank you for doing all you're doing with that. Ben and I can help with some of the other people because I know you're busy with other things, Jay. Any other business we need to attend to? So
Mary's got a issue. Yes,
Go ahead.
ma'am.
It's not an issue. This is the first meeting in a long time, decades, that Judy Volkman hasn't attended. And wasn't she one of the founding members of the commission? Callie would know that.
Yeah, I think that she was, when I came, say, that time Judy was there. So she's one of the founding members.
Right.
But she had said she was not going to be part of the commission.
I understand that. I understand that, but she is a founding member who's alive and who is now not part of the commission. And I feel very strongly that we should find a way to recognize her decades of service. And I don't think we should wait until October because of the state of the world. And Judy's healthy and hale right now. But anyway, so I would like to suggest that we have a county executive's recognition of Judy's decades of service. And I can get, or Callie can, somebody can get the exact date. Well, we have the exact date of the founding of the commission. And there are many of us who could contribute to the whereases. But I think it would be a crying shame to let her just sort of slip away without any recognition of all the time she's put in and the valuable guidance and work that she's giving the commission.
You're absolutely right. So first thing is, we want to look at a letter from the county executive.
No, I want something like you see people who do wonderful things in the county, a certificate of recognition. What's it called, Jay?
Proclamation.
Proclamation.
Yeah.
Okay, Judy did receive an award. I mean, she received a traditional commission award within the past 2 years, I believe, for her many years of volunteer service. So I would understand that potentially we want to, take an additional step.
Yes.
But, I mean, she did receive a fully signed ceremonial Baltimore County document within the past 2 years.
At the luncheon, correct. But you want more of one of thank you for your service is what you're talking about, Mary.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you know, recognition not just from the commission, but from the county executive. I don't know, if the rest of you think that her award a couple of years ago is enough, then that'd be okay, but I think we should recognize her upon her departure.
Thank you. Maybe Ben and Doug and I can talk about that after this too. Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
Well, I'm so glad to see a lot of faces today. I'm glad everybody made it, as many people as did. Anything else we need to talk about, Jay or Ben?
I just asked Terry that you, myself, and Doug Smith remain on the line.
Doug had to go to a meeting, but we can talk. Don't forget to check in on your loved ones. I mean, I know that it's difficult times. I hope everyone stays healthy. If you desire, please get in line to get your shots. And the next virtual meeting we should have will be January the 20th. That's the day of the inauguration. Do we want to keep it? We can always record that. Why don't we go back to what you were saying? More consistency would be better. Let's do January the 20th. Let's do January the 20th, 12 noon. Sound good? Do we need to approve any minutes? Can you send them out virtually? Can we do that virtually?
Yes, I request that we do that virtually sometime after today.
Perfect. All right.
Thank you all. Stay physically and mentally well.
Happy
Yes.
holidays.
Enjoy the snow.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Yes, and happy Hanukkah. Thanks,
Okay,
everyone.
Happy Hanukkah.
Hi, Annie. Hi, Annie.
Thank you all.
Has left the meeting.
Okay, bye.
Bye, Annie.
Has left the meeting.
Okay, so Ben, you and Doug and Jay and I will talk.
Has left the meeting.
Listen, everybody.
Is Manzoni still there?
She's there, but not in the chair, so she's good. So, okay, what do you want? What's